This is the second part of my Dave the Diver playthrough, and if you haven't watched the first one, go do that. You're gonna want the context, because I doubt you'll understand our war against crabs without it. But basically, yesterday we took down a giant squid, so they weren't insane, and ate it after, right before this guy pulled up to spy on us. Yeah, I told you you're gonna want the context. And on our very first dive the next day, Watson is already here and ready to commit murder. Seems on track for his MO, I guess. But I guess us beating 3 of his armed bombs didn't really get the message across, as he thinks he can take us by himself now. You're right. This is our second boss fight of the game, even though it doesn't really feel like one. I get a giant squid as a pretty high bar to set, but what is this? Your pirate goons did better than you. Okay. Fine, we dodge his grenade launcher, fill him up with a bit of lead, and that's fight over. Navy SEAL my ass. And he runs away, leaving us to get to our actual dive. There's a lot to unpack here, but for one, we're now in chapter 2, and after going through thick and thin to supplement Duff's degeneracy, we can finally go to the blue hole depths with this new headlamp. But it doesn't even matter because we can barely peek our head down before we start suffocating in our diving suit. So we'll have to upgrade that. At yours truly, Duff. Like, I thought Cobra was a capitalist, but this guy's really rinsing us for every bit of pocket change we have. But rant about Duff being a scammer aside, we head back up to the surface, pretty good haul, and we do our second dive for the day. Another good haul. Nah, just kidding. I got mauled to death by this shark, with only some long-nosed saw shark meat to take for my efforts. But now that nighttime's here, there's some new stuff that I can show you. Last time I kind of glazed over this as it was all going down on that day, but during the last day, my employee ad came back in and Bancho Sushi is rolling in minimum wage workers now. On top of Kyoko, we got Charlie now, this guy's whose name I definitely remember, and even Itsuki, a straight up ninja who somehow has worse stats than David over here.
Hey, yo,
On a different note, we got a new special guest walking through the door, Otto, who is going to end up being amazing for us. Also, how are people just walking in like this? He started drinking already, but like, Bancho Sushi is not open, dog, what are you doing? Otto heard good things about us, and after telling us a bunch of stories which may or may not be true, he says that he wants us to make him some moray eel curry. But see, the thing is, moray eels are always hidden away during the day, and worse yet, while we can't kill them, they can kill us. Trust me, I would know. But as it turns out, Otto tells us that the 2 dives that we do in the day aren't it, and if we want now, we can go on a night dive for a bunch of new and unique fish, albeit at the cost of a third of our restaurant nights. Well, that done, I braced myself for procrastinating this dive for what's probably going to be an in-game week. I started the night, and you can see we can finally cook at faster speeds than cavemen with all these new employees. Come on, Joe. Which is definitely a relief, not gonna lie. But we still got 4.8 stars. Hey, we're working up. The next day, since we've paid Duff's extortionate prices and upgraded our diving suit, we're able to finally descend into the depths on our morning dive. For real this time. First impressions, yeah, I think we probably could have got by without this headlamp, but what's done is done. We find a UV lamp that allows us to get past these tube worms, obviously some new fish, and hi again. I just like to sidetrack for a second and say that we found some sea people 3 times before we found a crab once. At this point, I'm convinced that they just got to be hiding, because what is this? We see that the girl is still harmed from her running with recently deceased Squiddy here, and the guy tries saying something, but seems to be a slight language barrier here.
Hey, what's the matter between you two?
There's a language barrier there.
What do you mean there's a language barrier? He's speaking English, you dick.
I know, but he's from Texas.
So to Dr. Bacon it is. When we make it up, Bacon tells us to mine some amethyst and find some microphone that should be in the Sea People record chamber 3-4. And then we should be all good on talking whatever kind of language this is. But before our second dive, we also rank up in Cookster. We're gold now. Gold is good in most things. On our next dive, we get annoyed by this orange octopus, just to find that either he was leading us to this artifact, or he just wanted a friend. I get you, man. And plus, octopuses are cool. Like, man, look at this guy. So like, if we get a chance to shoot him, I'm sure we won't take it. On the more important side, we fill our bags and tackle all 3 of the translator ingredients this dive, leaving Bacon ecstatic that he'll be able to make his little translator. And we make some good catches too. We also refashioned the unknown artifact into an octopus bracelet, which lets us perform a little dash. Should be useful for bosses down the line. Gotta check the gram, and we go for our first night dive ever. We have one goal in mind, just to catch an array eel. But it seems the nighttime ecosystem requires some adjusting. And there's some more toe biters at night. Like, I have one gun, there's 10 of these guys, and math doesn't work out for me, man. So yeah, we get back to Bancho Sushi, and at least have a decent night with the help of our employees and Jameson. Using Bacon's translator that he gives us the next day, we descend into the blue hole again, and after all this time we're able to communicate with these 2 sea people. Well, one of them. The sea people Princess Ramu here is still dying after her kidnap attempt. I mean, fair enough, I wouldn't really want this for myself either. This guy on the other hand, Suam, begs us to find some medicinal herbs that will fix her up, and I'm assuming he can't do this for reasons known to him and his therapist alone. So Slave Dave is back in action, and we got this on our agenda now. I need to stop making these kinds of plays. Oh my god, we had an amazing restaurant day. Just look at this though. Finally back to 5 stars. New record for profits. Brian working away. We're going to be able to buy a lot of upgrades with this. By the way, I'll just clarify, I've not been disclosing every upgrade I buy because, you know, I'm not sure this should be a 2-hour video. So yeah, you'll just kind of see me getting progressively better, I guess. It's party day today.
I'm trying to cook some food. Why they recommended me Diddy? Cut it. Presents to you the downfall of Diddy. Bro, I'm over here trying to cook some meat and they showing me the meat master. Basically,
this means that jellyfish dishes will do super good today. So you know what we're going to want to sell. Also, Duff made it that now on top of crafting a variety of different weapons, he can also upgrade our existing weapons for us. Obviously for a price though. During today's dives, we finally meet our first victim, crab. Not exactly the one from before, but who's discriminating at this point? But disaster strikes. This spider crab is quite literally immune to whatever I throw at it. I can stab it, I can shoot it, nothing. I have no idea how we can kill it. So we'll have to come back to this. Hey, don't think you're off the hook. That finishes up our dives, so it's party time. For a whole ass event, people sure weren't too willing to splash their cash today. Mike, did you scare them off? The next day we're taught how to catch tuna by cobra. Pretty random, but I mean, fair enough. We also find all the coral we need to cure up Ramu, and we still just need to ask Bancho to turn it into an edible dish. At night on the other hand, a lot happens. First of all, an employee ad we sent out gets back to us, so we got a new couple of people we can get in here. It might be Martin's time to go. Yone. Right now, I can't even afford any though, so actually getting anybody in here will have to wait a second. More interestingly however, we get another special guest in the building, and this time it's a little girl. This is Maki. Maki? And she's a lot. Bancho clocks that she seems to have 2 personalities, with one being slightly more outspoken through this doll. And she asks for kombu and white trevally oshizuki, which we gotta make along with Otto's moray eel from before now. The night itself ain't bad. Another 5 stars and another new profit record, which means we can hopefully afford some of those new employees. Next day, we immediately go and hire Yone as she is the fastest chef in the game. Well, apart from someone else, but I won't spoil that right now. And Bancho cooks us up some coral porridge for Ramu, which we go bring to her, and as promised, it nurses her back up to at least being able to move for now. However, she's still weak, so she rather assertively asks us to help her get back to her village, which we accept as she seems pretty cool. This guy on the other hand is useless. Like, what are you even leading the way for? Just go home, man. So we carry her away, have a close run-in with these jellyfish, but it was fine. However, we find that there's some rocks and slightly ominous stakes blocking the path, so we have no choice to now head up to the boat to see if Mr. Jack of all trades Cobra has anything to solve our problem. And it turns out that it's Bacon that does indeed have something to help, but he'll show us tomorrow. Anyway, we go for another night dive. I've taken a bit of a while, and we finally get the moray eel that Otto needs, which we immediately go to serve him. Bancho must be a really good cook. That or he drugs the food, but either one works out for us. Otto, to no surprise, loves the dish as it reminds him of his childhood, and he tells us that he has something to show us behind the sushi restaurant when we have time. But the surprises tonight ain't over, and we can serve Maki the dish she wanted too. I'm leaning more towards the drug side after this. But a happy customer is a happy customer, I guess, Bancho. Maki tells us that she's looking for her father. Turns out she asked for what used to be his favourite meal. We tell her that if we see him we'll let her know, but she has another small request. This is a Clione plushie, and she just wants to see a Clione in real life, so we agree to catch one to her. The moment we wake up the next day, we speed off to see what Otto had to show us. And I really couldn't have expected this, but he made us a whole ass fish farm in one day. This man is incredible. In short, when we catch fish, we can obtain fish eggs, which will then be sent here to hatch into that said fish. We can farm sharks, jellyfish and stuff too, by the way. And when we have 2 or more of that fish, they can naturally breed and multiply too. And we can take them out whenever we want to either sell or use them at Bancho Sushi. But we do need to pay quite a bit of cash to expand it. Not scammer levels though. Phew, there we go. Also, I like how each employee and character just has something to say. That's pretty cool in my opinion. After all this, we return to the blue hole with the new set of diving gloves that Bacon gave us, and after a brief tutorial, we use them to free up the path for Ramo and Suam. And, we gotta do another boss fight. So we enter, and this time it's this ugly ass giant wolf. Like, the squid was presentable. This bomb was presentable. If you're gonna try jump someone, at least look good while doing it, man. Come on. So we start the fight. Basically, we need to dodge his attacks until he does his dive, which then exposes his glowing tail. Which, yeah, we then shoot. So we repeat this a couple times and down he goes. Although, us finding this guy does raise the question, why are there so many massive creatures? Does this mean there's a massive crab? If we killed the massive crab, will that kill all the crabs? But, speculation aside, the wolf eel now being dead means that we can enter the sea people village. And boy is there a lot. But before we can do any sightseeing, we go straight to the sea people chief, Lord Tenzin, Ramo's father. It turns out that he needs help with something that's responsible for the earthquakes that have been occurring. But he really isn't a fan of humans. I don't blame him, to be fair. However, he's willing to put this aside as we pretty much saved his daughter's life. But even though he may be able to put his differences with humans aside, the sea people village likely won't, so we'll need to earn their trust by helping them out over the next couple days. Tenzin also provides us with a magic mirror that will let us teleport between the boat and the sea people village whenever we need. So now we don't have to start our dives from the blue hole surface. But it's been a super long day, so we head back up and it turns out that we missed tonight's opening, and Bancho is already gone. Momo the cat is still here though, and Yoshi decides to pay us a visit. We pour her a beer as she reminisces about how she used to know Bancho, and we finally learn a good bit about his past. What we learned before is true. He and Yoshi used to work in the same 5-star hotel, and this movie star called Lewis Crawford came in as a VIP guest. Bancho reluctantly agreed to serve her shrimp tempura, but cooked Lewis whole roasted shark head at the last minute, which she refused to try, storming out of the hotel and getting Bancho fired. It's a pretty sad story. Also, I haven't met my quota of Bancho glaze yet, so just look how clean he looks here. There we go. The next day, we head down to the Sea People village and get down to making them trust us. We need to get this bar to 100 by doing tasks for the people of the village, so we get to it. finding lost seahorses, looking for lost items, seahorse racing, gambling. Damn, Junak, you're trash. And we finally get to ride one of the cool ass belugas that we saw in the first video. By the end of our day's errand run here, we're at 55 out of 100, and when we get to Bancho Sushi, we have a new guest, Michael Ban, a famous movie director. Even though Dave thinks that his movies suck, Bancho loves them, so we need to make him a dish he wants. But for that, we need rice, which, as you may know, is not a fish, meaning that Dave, our little diver, has no way of getting it. That's where our goat Otto comes in the next day, pulling out a whole farm out of his ass for us. My man here was an investment and he is paying off. Let's sum this up. In this main patch we grow rice. Pretty simple, I guess. We need to plant, water and harvest it, so yeah, this is a farming sim now, I guess. There's fertilizer and stuff too, but it's rice growing. You don't need to know about all of that. On our dive, we decide to finally make some headway on Mackie's 5 Cliones. They're pretty small, but luckily the game pings their location as usual. And 5. Now we should be able to safely return. Right. That one is not pretty small. We seem to have got the attention of a giant Clione, the Clione Queen, who actually did us a favour and took us both to an arena. How nice of her. I'll be honest, I actually had to try this one a couple of times. Not necessarily because it's hard, it's probably just my skill issue, but she literally just seemed faster than Dave. And like, I'm not throwing shade at Dave, he is very fast for a man of his stature, but yeah. In short, she mainly stuck to just ramming us, biting us with these freaky ass tentacles, and spitting poison. Are they poisonous in real life? Kinda, from what this says, but I also found out that they can just change gender, which is something else. But eventually, we finally take her down, take a bit of her with us, and pick up this picture, which is of Mackie. I think I might have an idea of what happened to her father. So, with this newfound picture, we go to Mackie, and it turns out that it's a pre-recorded video for Mackie if her father died. And this is a diving game, I did not expect all this. There's not a joke to make here, I'm just gonna let it play out. Just kidding, there's always a joke. Free labour is on the way. But, jokes aside, since Mackie really wants to be a chef, she asks to work for us. And of course we say yes. 1, we don't have to pay her, and 2, she's the chef I mentioned earlier. The fastest chef in the game. And well, maybe the best, but that kinda depends. Aww. Over the next couple dives, and days, not too much noteworthy happens. We just go through the motions, gradually get our sea people wrap up, and even help a little baby whale get back to his mum or dad. I can't tell, I'm not a biologist. But our chance to achieve what we've been working towards this whole time finally comes, in the form of the Dave the Diver Pokedex addict Sato. Now, we haven't mentioned him this video, you'll have to watch the last one for that, but we've been filling out our marine all this time, and he's came to tell us something. On a rare stormy night like this, we can find an underwater whirlpool that will take us to an extremely strong creature, and maybe, just maybe, it'll be a crab. So we descend, and here it is. Look how full circle we've come. We're entering a blue hole, in a blue hole, that's a blue hole. We enter, and we're met with this giant hermit crab, with a whole ass construction vehicle on his back. Surely if we kill this guy, the ultimate crab, then we've won once and for all. Forget about the little ones, I figured that we can just drop rocks on them to kill them anyway. This is what matters. So we begin the fight. Our guns don't do anything here. What we need to do is to drop these barrels on top of it, whilst dodging all of its attacks. In my opinion, this was probably my least favourite fight so far. That's personal preference by the way, I'm not saying it's bad. Because whenever I would drop a barrel on it, he would just shuffle 1 centimetre away from it being a hit. So we repeat this cycle, and eventually we deal the finishing blow. All of Dave's journey has led to this. But there's so much more to do now, so many more people to meet and help. We can't quit here. Well, that'll mark the end of this one. I'll finish David Diver in my next video and probably 100% it after. Thanks for watching and I hope you enjoyed. Check out my other videos if you want, and bye.